Hello, welcome to the Beta Virtual Assistants Facebook Live. So today, of course, we're talking again on the tax tips on Tuesday. And so the topic of today is what to do if your account is messed up and you're not getting the proper info from your exchange or something similar to that. So, for example, I just found out recently that an exchange I've been using before, which I didn't have anything left there, but I know people who had a little bit there. Unfortunately, the website disappeared. The app stopped working, the website is not accessible anymore, and obviously looks like certainly bankrupt because they were issued with withdrawal previously, but I'm assuming it almost looks like it's a scam and people just left with investors' money, which is very unfortunate. And so the problem with this type of situation is then, of course, you don't have access anymore, so you can retrieve your transaction history or anything like that. But we've seen other exchanges where it's also not necessarily that it's not working anymore, but it's just issue at some websites or some exchange are better at providing your history of transaction, or like it could be the purchase or like fiat onboarding money is one thing. Then of course then you might have trades and things like that. Then you might have other activity like staking rewards and interest and everything else. So some places will provide the full history of all the different types of transactions. Some they have something about your trades, but sometimes if you're doing quick buys or like directly transferring money and buying crypto, it's not a trade from one token to another. It's just a purchase of crypto from fiat money, which could be your US dollar or whatever your currency is. So sometimes those won't show up when you download the statement. And of course, some download statement as a PDF or Excel, kind of like a monthly statement. Some will allow you to retrieve the full history, like either with a certain time period, and they might allow you to download as a CSV file, which is just like a data file, like a text file, or they might allow you to download with Excel. But either way, what happens is sometimes people, when it gets time to do your crypto taxes, or ideally, if you're doing that like a regular basis and you're keeping your records straight and updated, this is actually what we recommend, is that you don't wait when it's time to do your taxes to kind of try to find out all your records and all the different places you might have been investing. What we recommend is that you do that as soon as you can. Actually, you should take notes each time you start something new places for investing or trading. And then as soon as you can, try to make sure you're able to download your data, download your history. And then obviously, if it's possible, we recommend you use a tax software. There's one that we recommend that will allow you to download either through an API on a regular basis. Otherwise, you might download a file that you can import, or worst case, you can take something that's not supported and put it in the right format and import it. So if you've been doing that, and if the website or the exchange goes bankrupt or disappear, at least you have all your history up to that point. But let's say you didn't do that and you kind of lost access, or your account provider won't provide all the info you need. So what we've been doing sometimes is, at least if you can look at your bank records and first find out how much money you've been transferring over. So that's the first step. So at least we know how much money you put into that protocol or that particular place. And if you've made any withdrawals, then we also want that. So it's not necessarily just the data from the account itself, it's everything that went to transfer in and out of that place. So if you can find all of those, that's already a good start. So what we're trying to do normally is we try to make sure how much money you put in, how much money you withdraw. Then either because it's weird protocol that maybe you put some stuff in and you get some stuff like some more tokens later on and you don't really know what's going on, or you don't have the full details, then we can put all the transaction of what you put in and then whatever you take out later on. And we just rebuild like we might not have the specifics of every transaction, but we might have global transaction of everything you put in and whenever you got it out. And then assuming you never get it out for some reason or you lost it, then we can make a trade of what you put in, and then it's up to you based on your own rules and regulation in your country to see. Most often than not, unfortunately, you're not able to claim losses on something that got lost or stolen or things like that. That's why we also recommend that every time you get a chance to at least try to withdraw a little amount, first to test if it works, second to have a trace of taking something out, and then also, so that means that if for some reason at some point it gets lost or disappear, at least you have a proof that you took something out at some point, and then we can make the difference between what you put in and what you take out at that point. So that's always a good thing to make sure you can withdraw and transfer out from whatever places you're investing in. Then assuming you're also not able to do that or you didn't do that, then like I said, we need to make sure if you ever transfer token inside of that place or outside of that place, then we can at least record those. And often based on the value on that date, we can estimate, and the software will do that too. We can estimate, let's say, you transferred a certain amount of whatever Bitcoin that day. Let's say you transfer 1 Bitcoin and you bought 10 Ethereum, and you kind of remember that you use that to buy a certain specific token. Then we can put the transfer into that place, and then we can create a trade that represents what you probably did, and the amount will just get calculated. And then maybe later on that we see that you've been transferring this other coin out of your account. Then we know that basically you put something in, then we will just recreate the trade for exchanging from one token to another, and then you took it out later. So that's why I was saying if you have everything that went in and out of that account based on the account history of other exchanges or other protocol or other wallets, then we can possibly recreate what you did. Obviously, it depends if you've been doing a few manual trades here and there, or you've been using a bot automation with millions of trades, then we want to create all the trades. But again, it might be possible, however, to know how much did I put in. And that's why if you take notes, maybe on a certain date I started the bot, and then I know that 3 months later I stopped that bot, and you know what token it was, then we can assume, okay, how much did you put in initially? And then let's say, assuming at the end, you had at least a screenshot of your balances, or maybe you had a download of your balances, or you had a statement of some sort, then we know possibly what happened in between those 2 points in time. Or if you transfer out that amount later on to invest in something else, again, we have a trace of what came out. So as long as we know what came in, what came out, we have an estimate of what you did, or and you tell us what you did. And then we can recreate a trade that represent what happened in this time period. So that's different options that have been helping people with their accounts. So anyway, if you have any question about that, of course, let us know. And we'll see what we can do based on the amount of information you have or don't have. But like I said earlier, just if you need to remember something, first is always try to take notes of at least each time you open an account. Close an account each time. If you can at least keep records of everything that goes in and out of your bank account. Some people are using credit card to purchase crypto. Make sure you keep those around. Then obviously try to test if you can download the transaction history of a specific place. Either if you're using a software, try to connect to an API if it's available. If not, try to see if you can download a CSV file or Excel spreadsheet. And then worst case, try to see if you can download a monthly statement. Or sometimes people, they were not able to download, but they were able to take screenshot of maybe transaction history on the screen. So that's not ideal, but that's way better than nothing. And we can always convert that to text and put that in a spreadsheet and re-import that in the tax software. And then finally, if you note also when you start a bot or stop it and what coin you've been using and maybe the dates if possible. And then also if you're able to take at least a yearly balances of your accounts and possibly every quarter or monthly, even in some cases, especially if it's an account that doesn't provide you much information, then we need other pieces of information to be able to kind of rebuild the history. So if everything is from the exchange, you still need to do it regularly in case it disappears at some point, like I said earlier. But if it's not providing enough information, make sure that you have a way to like I said, with screenshot balances and maybe transaction history, or even what I do is normally when I make a trade, sometimes I do a screenshot like the from to token and the amount, and then I have at least an image of this information. And if you don't want to take paper notes or notebook, at least you have like screenshots that you can look into. But then again, make sure you put that in a safe place so that you don't lose or forget where they are. If you have any question about that more specifically, like I said, we've been helping people in this type of situation. So I think we can tell you what is the best way to go around it. So if you have any other question, let us know. And of course, we're here on Tuesday and Thursday for our tax tips. And then we're here on Saturday for our strategy tips. And then, of course, we've been posting before a link to our workshop. And now we also have a new little short course that you might be able to find in some of our posts. And then, of course, if you know anyone else who might benefit from us, let us know. We have do-it-yourself courses, and we have done for-you services as well, depending on what you need or what is the level of complexity of your situation. So thanks for coming today, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.